The technique of making crack candle is similar, mainly by temperature control. The wax material we need is paraffin wax with a melting point of 58 degrees Celsius. The melting point of between 58 degrees Celsius and 64 degrees Celsius paraffin wax can work, but 58 degrees Celsius paraffin wax has a better translucency, which makes the color more natural. Therefore, I'll go for 58 degrees Celsius paraffin wax here. Paraffin wax needs to be paired with the Additive AC6, which is used to reduce bubble and improve resilience. The dosage is between 0.1% and 0.3%. Put a small cap on the digital scale, press the 0 or tear button, and weigh the required paraffin wax Additive AC6. Minor error is allowed when weighing the additive. Melt it together with the paraffin wax over medium heat. The diameter of candle mold I'm using here is 5 cm and the height is 15 cm. Weight the candle mold and seal the hole with rubbers. Along the way, I'll demonstrate how to make a natural gradient paraffin pillar. Pour about 1/3 of paraffin wax liquid into the candle mold along the wick at 100 degrees Celsius. If you need to add candle fragrance oil, add it at 105 degrees Celsius, stir well and also pour it at 100 degrees Celsius. Secure the wick and set it aside. Dye the remaining 2/3 of wax liquid. Use a stick to touch the candle liquid dye. Put it into the wax liquid and stir well. Drop the wax liquid on a piece of white paper to confirm the color. I'm mixing yellow and blue liquid dyes to make a green shade. You may dye any color according to your preference, but please note that paraffin wax can be easily stained, so be patient and mix small amount of liquid dye several times. Set it aside after the dyeing process and start to observe the condition of the wax liquid in the candle mold. During the solidification process, we can see that an extremely thin wax layer has formed on the surface. Pick up the candle mold and wave it gently. We can feel that the wax liquid is still flowing and waving inside the candle mold. The thin layer on the surface can be bulged by the internal wax liquid. This usually happens between 8 to 10 minutes after you pour the wax. The actual time is subject to room temperature and the size of the candle mold. Now is the best time to reheat the 2/3 of wax liquid with just dye. Then pour it into the candle mold between 100 and 120 degrees Celsius. If you want the layering is obvious, pour the wax liquid at 100 degrees Celsius. If you want it naturally gradient, pour it at 110 degrees Celsius. If you want it indistinct, pour it at 120 degrees Celsius. Likewise, add candle fragrance oil at 5 degrees Celsius higher than the pouring temperature. For example, if I need to pour the wax at 120 degrees Celsius, I should heat the wax to 125 degrees Celsius. Add candle fragrance oil and stir well. The pouring temperature I demonstrate here is 120 degrees Celsius. Wait between 30 and 15 minutes for semi-solidification. The waiting time is subject to the actual condition of the candle, as the room temperature is different. When you feel that the candle mold from the outside is still hot, but the wax surface has solidified, that also means when you gently wave the candle mold, the wax surface is not bulged by the wax liquid. In fact, the candle has not completely solidified. However, its fluidity can bulge the wax surface. This is the best time to put the candle with the mold together in the freezer. Refrigerator has 2 compartments that keep items at different temperatures. Please note that we should put it into the freezer compartment where the inside temperature below freezing point. Candles must be frozen for 3 hours. If less than 3 hours, the cracks will be less or won't be obvious. After 3 hours, prepare a basin of 55 degrees Celsius hot water. To demonstrate clearly, I use a basin here. You can use deep bucket. Mix the freshly boiling water in the room temperature water while measure the temperature. When it's between 58 degrees Celsius and 60 degrees Celsius, stop adding boiling water. Take out the candle from the freezer. By this time, it appears some cracks due to the different temperature between room and the freezer. Put the candle in 55 degrees Celsius hot water, making cracks become more and obvious. Please note that you have to wait the water cool down to 55 degrees Celsius to start the process. Be careful not to let the water flow into the mold. Rotate them so that the candle bodies are evenly heated. Stir them for around 3 minutes for more cracks. When you finish, wipe off the water. Due to the shrinking nature of paraffin wax, there will be hollows at the bottom of the candle. This is normal, it only needs to be filled with wax liquid. Fill the hollow with paraffin wax liquid at 100 degrees Celsius. Secure the wick bar and wait for solidification again. Remove the rubbers and use pliers to release the candle. For other pillars, you can knot the mold on a table or ground to help release the candle. However, to prevent the candle from breaking into parts, I recommend using pliers to help demold the candle. When you use pliers to pull out a candle, don't force it at all once, but slowly apply force and gently pull the candle from the mold. Let's make a comparison from the gradient effect. The first pouring temperature of all three candles is 100 degrees Celsius. The difference in the gradient effect is the difference in the second pouring temperature. The second pouring temperature for a middle green one is 100 degrees Celsius, and the blue one is 110 degrees Celsius. These two pouring temperatures will make the gradient blend more naturally, with 110 degrees Celsius blending more than 100 degrees Celsius. For the green one on the left, the second pouring temperature is 120 degrees Celsius. The gradient is not obvious, but the overall color will be more refreshing than without a gradient. If you don't want a gradient, you can directly pour the wax in the candle mold at 100 degrees Celsius at all once. Now let's demonstrate the process of making a vintage crack candle. The vintage crack design is a combination of large cracks and small cracks. Also, it's covered with specks of dust, adding a touch of anti-finish. Like what we just did for a large crack candle, make a gradient pillar candle first and then freeze it for at least 3 hours. After 3 hours, take out the pillar from the freezer and also prepare a basin of 55 degrees Celsius hot water. Put the candle in hot waters at 55 degrees Celsius. For making a large crack candle, we can't let the water flow in the candle mold. However, here we need to let the hot water flow in the candle mold to make a dusty finish. Rotate the candle for about 3 minutes so that it's evenly heated. Also use pliers to help release the candle instead of knocking it on the table or ground. The bottom will appear hollow, which is normal due to the natural shrinkage of paraffin wax. Just need to fill it with 100 degrees Celsius wax liquid before releasing the candle. There's also one more step needed making a vintage crack design. Small cracks are done exactly the opposite of large crack. Prepare a basin of ice water close to 1 degree Celsius. You can add ice cubes to the room temperature water to keep the temperature at about 1 degree Celsius. Then directly soak or dip the candle into the ice water. We can see small cracks appear instantly. During the soaking process, pick up the candles every now and then to see if the small cracks are as effective as you want them to be. Dry the candles after soaking. In the next video, I'll only use small cracks technique to make another design. If you're interested, please stay tuned. There are some important details making a large crack design. So at the end of this video, let's clarify some reasons for failure. If the candle breaks into parts, there are several reasons. If the candle is frozen for more than 3 hours, even overnight, it may break. Theoretically speaking, it's possible to freeze it overnight, but if the refrigerator is too powerful, the candle may break. If a refrigerator is of low power, it's okay to freeze it overnight, even for a few days. So, if this is your first time making a large crack candle, I would recommend not freezing it for more than 3 hours. If after that, you want to freeze longer for the ease of production, I suggest you make a small sample test first. The second reason is that the water is too hot. Be sure to wait until the water is at 55 degrees Celsius before you start soaking the candles. The third reason is that the candle breaks during the demolding process. Be sure to use small pliers to release the candle and apply gentle pressure to pull out the candle. You can slightly squeeze the mold with your hand, but don't knock the mold on the table or ground.